What if freedom isn't something you lose all at once, but something you trade away quietly until one day you realize you can't get it back with a weekend off? We tend to talk about freedom like it's a political concept, a flag, a slogan, a right. But most people don't lose freedom through politics. They lose it through default, through routines they didn't choose, through relationships that slowly become contracts, through jobs that start as opportunities and end as cages. So fear disguised as being responsible. And the scariest part, you can be free on paper and still live like a hostage. Because modern captivity doesn't need bars. It needs dependence. It needs distraction. It needs a life that's too busy to question itself. Freedom, in simple terms, is the ability to choose your direction and pay the cost of that choice without collapsing. Not do whatever you want. That's not freedom. That's impulse. Freedom is deeper, harder, more expensive. Freedom is the power to say no even when people expect yes. Not this, even when it's safer. Not anymore, even when you've built your whole identity around it. And that's why freedom is rare, because most people don't want freedom. They want comfort. They want safety. They want approval. They want a life with minimal consequences. But freedom is consequences. Freedom is waking up and realizing no one is coming to rescue you. No one is going to hand you meaning. No one is going to authorize your life. So you either become the author or you become managed. And we live in an era that has mastered management, not just by governments, by algorithms, by cultures, by expectations, by the invisible emotional economy of being liked. The modern world doesn't have to imprison your body. It just has to capture your attention and then sell it back to you. That's why one of the clearest signs you're losing freedom isn't what you do. It's what you can't do anymore. You can't sit in silence without reaching for your phone. You can't make a decision without checking the room. You can't risk being misunderstood. You can't disappoint anyone without feeling guilty. You can't stop working without feeling like you're falling behind. That's not ambition. That's captivity with good branding. And the culture rewards it. The culture loves people who are reliable, who are always available, who never make it about themselves, who push through. But sometimes pushing through is just a polite way of saying, I've forgotten what I want. So let's name the paradox. Freedom is what everyone claims they want, until it requires them to change their life. Because the moment you choose freedom, you also choose uncertainty, responsibility, risk, loneliness, the loss of certain relationships, the end of certain narratives. Freedom breaks illusions. It breaks the illusion that you can keep everyone happy. It breaks the illusion that you can be safe and alive at the same time. It breaks the illusion that you can have a meaningful life without conflict. And that's why most people settle for a substitute. They choose a controlled life, a predictable life, a socially approved life, a life looks good from the outside. A life where nothing is technically wrong, but something is dead, because freedom isn't the absence of structure. Freedom is self-authored structure. It's choosing your discipline instead of inheriting it. It's choosing your obligations instead of absorbing them. It's choosing your values instead of renting them from the culture. That's the difference between a prison and a practice. A prison is a structure you didn't consent to. A practice is a structure you choose because it makes you stronger. This is why some people can live with very little and feel free, while others live in luxury and feel trapped. Because the real prison isn't the room, it's the inability to choose who you are inside. Now, here's where it gets darker. We're entering an era where freedom will become a luxury product. Not in the obvious way, in the subtle way. The wealthy will buy freedom through flexibility. They can leave, they can switch, they can disappear. The rest will be offered freedom as entertainment, endless choices on a screen, endless content, endless identities to try on. But that's not freedom, that's a casino. And a casino is designed to keep you inside. The trick of the modern world is that it gives you infinite micro choices to distract you from the one choice that matters. Who is writing your life? Because if you're not writing it, someone else is. The algorithm writes it by training your attention, the market writes it by training your desires, your family scripts write it by training your guilt, your culture writes it by training your shame. And then you call the result who I am. But it's not who you are, it's who you became to survive, which brings us to the most uncomfortable truth. Sometimes freedom doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from a reset, a rupture, a forced clarity, a moment where life removes the illusion that you're in control and reveals what matters. And that's why freedom is often born in extremes, because when something is taken away, you suddenly see it, not as a concept, as oxygen. And when you've tasted that kind of clarity, something changes. You stop worshipping small things. You stop wasting your time on approval. You stop mistaking motion for progress. You stop confusing activity with aliveness. Because once you felt what it means to not have options, you respect options. You stop trading your life for convenience. You stop giving away your agency in exchange for comfort. You get sharper, not softer. And that's the prophecy. In the next decade, the highest status symbol won't be money, it will be sovereignty. The ability to move without permission, to decide without consensus, to live without begging the world to approve your existence. And that serenity will show up in small, brutal decisions, choosing a craft over a crowd, choosing depth over attention, choosing solitude over noise, choosing truth over belonging, choosing discomfort over numbness, choosing your future over your habits. This is where the topic of freedom stops being abstract. Because freedom doesn't begin when you change countries, it begins when you stop being owned by the invisible things. So here are 3 questions that expose your real freedom level. What do you do every day that you secretly resent? That's a chain. Who benefits from staying the same? That's the system. What part of your life requires you to be smaller than you really are? That's a cage, and you don't escape these cages with one dramatic act. You escape them with a new relationship to your own authority. Freedom is built by tiny refusals, by saying no to things that drain you, by breaking silent contracts, by leaving rooms you've outgrown, by unlearning guilt, by doing the thing you keep postponing because you're waiting to feel ready. Because the truth is, most people don't lose freedom. They postpone it. They postpone it until the relationship is already dead, the job has already hollowed them out, the body has already started screaming, the years are already gone, and then they call it regret. So what is freedom really? Freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is the ability to live with yourself, to respect your choices, to honor your time, to protect your attention, to build a life that doesn't require you to numb out at night. Freedom is when your life feels like it belongs to you, even if it's hard, even if it's uncertain, even if nobody claps, because freedom is not a performance, it's a contract with your own soul. And that contract has one requirement: you stop betraying yourself in small ways. That's where it starts. So here's the real question, and don't answer it like a philosopher, answer it like a person. Where have you been trading your freedom for comfort? What are you tolerating that's costing you your life slowly? Drop a thought in the comments, even a single sentence. What is one chain you're ready to break this year? This is the TOMAAS prophecy, cinematic essays that don't just reflect the world, but read between its fractures through layered visuals, emotional pattern recognition, and cultural signals most people feel before they can name. Prophetism isn't belief, it's perception, and art isn't decoration. It's intel pulled from beneath the noise. Explore more of my work at TOMAAS.com.